Before we get started, we would like to do a brief land acknowledgement. We acknowledge the lands which constitute the present-day city of Mississauga as being part of the treaty lands and traditional territory of the Mississaugas of the Credit First Nations, the Seneca and Attawandaron and wider Haudenosaunee Confederacy, and the Huron-Wendat First Nations. We recognize these peoples, the Anishinaabe, the Ojibwa, Chippewa nations within the Haudenosaunee Confederacy, the Huron-Wendat, and all other peoples who inhabited these lands since time immemorial. The City of Mississauga is home to First Nations, Métis, and Inuit peoples. As a municipality, the City of Mississauga is actively working towards reconciliation by continuing to strengthen our relationship with Indigenous communities. We formally recognize the Anishinaabe origins of our name and continue to make Mississauga a safe space for all Indigenous peoples. Thank you. Now, with just a brief intro regarding IDEA Mississauga and its small business supports, we are your central source for small business information, resources, and guidance. We offer free business information and training, as well as webinars like the one you're in today, workshops, resources, tools, and a plethora of training, mentorship, and entrepreneurship programs suitable for any type of entrepreneur. We offer business advisory services wherein you can receive one-on-one consultations on a wide variety of topics such as business operations, sales strategies, and digital marketing, just to name a few. We also have 3 signature programs: Summer Company, which typically runs in the summertime each year and provides business mentorship and training and the opportunity to apply for up to a $3,000 grant. Our Starter Company Plus program is fantastic for anyone looking to start, scale, or purchase a business and is over the age of 18. Also provides free business and mentorship, as well as the opportunity to apply for up to a $5,000 program. And this program typically runs in the summer and fall of each year. And last but not least, our Step Up program is perfect for any innovative and inclusive companies looking to grow and overcome common entrepreneurship barriers. This program is currently recruiting, and we invite you to attend an information session about the Step Up program on November 19th. Last but not least, all of our services and programs are typically provided through the IDEA Square One facility. We are located in Square One and are your space for startups, scale-ups, corporate leaders, and investors to collaborate and grow together. We invite you to stop by anytime Monday through Friday, 9 a.m. to 5 p.m. to start, scale, or support your business. To stay in the know with all of our upcoming events, initiatives, and resources, we encourage you to subscribe to the e-newsletter sent once a month. And last but not least, we encourage you to reach out to us at any time at ideamississauga.ca through our phone number or through our website. Now, without further ado, we welcome you again to Pride in the Workplace, fostering 2SLGBTQ plus inclusion practices for business. Just a few housekeeping notes. Today's session, the functions of the audio and video will only be available for panelists, but we encourage you to drop any questions you have into the chat function below, which will be taken up at the very end of the session. If you have any questions, please don't hesitate to reach out. And without further ado, I will pass it off to my wonderful host, Merve Tissoon, to take it from here. And over to you, Merve.
Hello, everyone. I will be sharing my
Oh, I think we've
screen.
lost your audio there just for a moment.
Oh,
Oh, perfect. You're back.
yeah,
Fantastic.
I will be trying to share my screen just right now and
Mhm.
hope that we won't have any technical difficulties. Can
So
everyone see my
far,
screen?
so good. Yes, you're all set.
Okay, so hello everyone. Welcome to this wonderful, wonderful workshop slash webinar that we're hosting together here today. My name is Merve Tosson. I use she, her pronouns, and I'm the Business Development Coordinator National. I'm based in Tiohtià:ke, Montreal, and I've been part of the CGLCC for a while now. My role is now more national focused, and yeah, I can tell you a little bit more about the CGLCC in a bit. This session today will cover a few aspects. We're going to start off with some general topics about like what does the acronym even mean? Um, How can we talk about queer folks in an inclusive way? What acronyms should we use? Then I will dive into a little bit of the travel market and a general about the queer market and which folks we're dealing with and why they are so important for certain regions and how we can benefit from those clients, from those customers, and how we can enhance business as well. Um, as I said, I work for the CGLCC, which stands for Canada's 2SLGBTQI+ Chamber of Commerce. We are a coalition of 2SLGBTQI+ businesses and entrepreneurs, allies, government liaisons, corporate members, community partners, and students of business advocating for and working towards a more inclusive Canadian economy, one connection at a time. So we have a lot of programs under our umbrella, but one of the programs that I will be talking about at the end of the session is the Rainbow Registered Accreditation, which will help put you and your business on the map and make you more receptive to the queer client and to the queer customer. As you will see throughout the session, I will use certain terms interchangeably. I will not use the acronym all the time. I'm going to use queer people as an umbrella term. That's just as a heads up. And now we're going to dive into a bit the first slide. So it's estimated that about 1 million Canadians are lesbian, gay, or bisexual, and that almost a third of them are between the ages of 15 and 24. It's also estimated that about 100,000 Canadians over the age of 15 identify themselves as trans or non-binary. So I, for example, when I started the session, I introduced myself with MRV and my pronouns. I said my pronouns are she, her, and a lot of these things regarding sexual orientation and gender identity are sometimes, for some people, a bit fluctuous. For me, right now, I use the term she, her, but I'm trying to experiment at the moment with the pronoun they, them as well, simply because I feel like it fits me and my persona a bit better. My mom, for example, she uses she, her pronouns. She identifies as a cisgender woman, and that stays like this with her because she was assigned female at birth. That's just like a little side fact about this. I would love to dive deeper into these subjects, but because of the time, I just will make sure that we will link a few resources below or send it to you folks afterwards if possible, just so you have something to look into. Then let's dive a bit more into the acronym. So in the beginning, I said this is the 2SLGBTQIA+. The government of Canada uses 2SLGBTQI plus as an acronym. The things that this stands for are 2S stands for two-spirit, the L is for lesbian, the G is for gay, B is for bisexual, T is for trans or transgender, the Q is for queer or questioning, the I is for intersex, and the A is for asexual or agender. The plus generally includes other sexual and gender identities. I'm not going to dive more deeper into the acronym itself, simply because it's most of the times it's like subject to change. So what I always advise folks to do, there's never a time where you stop learning and where you stop like understanding things, simply because the acronym also incorporates a lot of different gender identities and sexual orientations. I will also always suggest, please do your own research and look into the resources that are on hand. I can link some as well into the chat later. And that's why I don't dive deeper into this matter. But if ever you are experiencing difficulties with the acronym, you can always use the term SOGIESC, which stands for Sexual Orientation, Gender Identity and Expression, and Sex Characteristics. Oftentimes, this is like a newer term being used because it incorporates all gender identities and all sexual orientations within one without specifically naming this letter or this letter. And there's also, I believe there are also translations for this in French as well. If I find it, I'm going to link it in the chat below. And now to our other portion, we're going to talk a bit about the 2S LGBTQI+ market. So when we're talking about the 2S LGBTQI+ market or the gay market, we don't necessarily talk about like a general, like a small market. This market can be divided into different like components. And when we talk about the queer client and the queer people that are being are traveling to your region or are coming to your business, we're talking about lesbians, we're talking about gay people, we're talking about bisexuals, we're talking about transgender people, we're talking about families within that, couples, seniors, youth, outdoor enthusiasts, or foodies. So there's so much potential in there in the way you can target and you can make your business receptive for this particular client, because there are a lot of families under this umbrella. Oftentimes we assume that there just like queer people have like maybe no children or nothing in that, but it's oftentimes queer families that are now traveling. Queer families are accessing these spaces, and making that space receptive to those families will just enhance your customer uh, sales relationship with that client, and create a general more welcoming experience for the customer if you make it more receptive to this particular client, knowing that they especially come to your region. In general, there's a lot of money in the queer market. So the Canadian 2S LGBTQI plus travel market generates $12 billion annually, and there has been a significant increase of 43% since 2014. North American 2S LGBTQI plus travel market generates $70 billion annually, and globally $200 billion annually. But of course, there's more than more welcoming to this market than simply asking for their business. On average, Canadian 2S LGBTQI plus travelers spend around $1,900 per trip, compared to $265 per trip for the general traveling public. 50% of high-income households spend $2,000 or more per leisure trip and travel 3 to 4 times per year. 45% of lesbian travelers take 3 to 4 short trips per year, and 23% of gay travelers take 2 medium length trips per year. This is all based on a study that the CGLCC did, and which is all like readily available in our travel market guide, simply because the accreditation was founded, the Rainbow Registered accreditation was founded by Tourism HR Canada and the CGLCC around 3 years ago, with tourism and the travel market in mind. Here are some regional highlights that we love to talk about. So the 2S LGBTQI plus travelers residing in BC spent the most per trip by around $1,980. And 90% of 2S LGBTQI plus travelers intend to travel within Canada in 2020. The most popular destinations are metropolitan and tier 2 mid-sized cities. And the top destination provinces, of course, are Ontario, Quebec, BC, and Alberta. 58% of 26 to 35-year-olds traveled to tier 2 cities at least once in 2019, and 55% of gay travelers visited rural areas at least once in 2019. So here we have some interesting facts that will help to understand, okay, how much money do they even spend on certain trips and certain travels, and how can we benefit from that? How can we make our businesses more receptive to the queer client and to the queer customer? In general, the customer looks for meaningful engagement and commitment to making your products and services. So meaningful engagement and commitment to making your products and services inclusive will help earn their trust. If I'm looking for a hotel that I can travel to with my partner, and I am looking for a vacation where I don't have to face any extra barriers, where I have to think, oh, will this be safe for me? Will I be able to hold my partner's hand? Will we face any discrimination when we enter this particular hotel, or when we go to this particular cafe that is around the hotel that is usually catering for tourists? And if I know that that business, for example, has done the work and is queer inclusive, I know that I will bring more business to that place, because that's how the queer community works. Wherever what we trust is where we put our money into, and that's where we go. And once that trust is earned, the queer travelers are loyal and will be champions for these businesses. When I recently cut my hair and I was looking for an inclusive barber. I went through to look through so many spots and places just to find a spot where I feel safe and welcoming. And because it's a service I seek out almost every month, and I wanted to find a place that is comforting and that knows how to deal with queer people, that is all of these little things are oftentimes important, and queer people are looking for stuff like that. And in generally speaking, the top destination motivators are on number one, we have safety. So at 89%, safety is the most was the most popular destination motivator. So when queer folks are traveling, they're looking for a place that is safe, that they can travel to, that they can like shut off and not worry about being discriminated or having like a negative experience, and a place that is in general welcoming for the queer community. At second spot, we have already cost/value for money at 88%. Of course, there's like a 1% difference. So queer people, we love a deal. Then we have climate, the political climate. Maybe it's a bucket list destination. Maybe there's a reputation for diversity and welcoming to the 2SLGBTQI+ community. Maybe friends and family are at the destination. Maybe it was recommended by family and friends. And maybe the proximity to home and the 2SLGBTQI+ culture and history. So all of these things are very relevant when you're traveling to a destination and when you're looking for a safe space. And the beautiful thing is that it doesn't have to solely include a hotel. It can include the small cafe on the side. It can include zoos and museums and all of these spaces that can be made more inclusive, whether it's through including gender-neutral washrooms, or maybe certain wine tours if you're a winery that is based in this location, or maybe making all of these things more queer inclusive, because this will ultimately open your doors and be more receptive to the queer customer and to the queer client. Then we have some tourism activities. Like I mentioned, I always love to mention like the queer wine tours, because I've seen it happen where folks invite a queer social media influencer that comes and just shows the wineries, and it just creates like another space where 2SLGBTQI+ people can go and experience something without any barriers. So number one, is a food and dining activity. It's a popular tourism activity. I was lucky enough to attend the food conference at the beginning of this year. I think it was in spring, and a lot of businesses that attended that were like from the food industry and the service industry were Rainbow registered accredited businesses. And there I noticed how much there is a link between the food industry and the dining industry with the queer community. And I was asking myself, why is it so popular, and why? And I believe that it's a place where you can bring people together. And it's generally a space where you can connect and build friendships and build community. On the second spot, we have outdoor activities, arts and culture, visiting family and friends, shopping, festivals and events, wellness activities, and 2SLGBTQI+ events. These are like the top tourism activities that the queer client or the queer customer is looking for. Then we have, this is a wonderful fact that I now like to include in these slides. It's like other motivational factors related to destination and statistics, because this is taken out of the Pride Toronto annual report from 2023, and it says that the festival contributed a whopping $591 million to Ontario's GDP and generated over $231 million in combined tax revenues. Ontarians benefited as well, with the festivals directly creating 4,748 jobs. Collaborating with the local Pride Festival can help increase business for the certain organizations and businesses located in a region. And as you can see, I love this stat because it just shows how through collaboration you can benefit from Pride, or maybe also beyond Pride, because oftentimes a lot of hype is created within the Pride month in June but dipping into that pot and generating more revenue also throughout the entire year and working together with the queer clients and queer customers can help increase your business as well. Then Canada is well positioned to grow the 2S LGBTQI plus travel market, or in general the market. I am not from Canada. I was born and raised in Germany, and I always saw Canada as like a very inclusive and open space simply because it's so big. And I was proven right. So Canada in general ranks consistently as having one of the best qualities of life and as one of the best places to live globally. And it's known internationally as progressive, inclusive, and safe. One of the first countries to legalize same-sex marriage. Canada is vibrant and active and has vibrant and active towards LGBTQI plus communities, a wide range of tourism destinations and offerings, and also 2S LGBTQI plus festivals, large and small, which are held across the country. We, as the CGLCC, we work nationally, so we have a lot of businesses already accredited throughout the entire country, and we always say we work from coast to coast to coast. And knowing this makes it so much easier to make your space even more receptive to the queer client and to the queer customer. Because if I know that I'm traveling to a place, to a country that is like known as inclusive and safe, how can I make my business more receptive to this client or to this potential worker of mine? How can I showcase that this is a safe and inclusive space to work at? And we will dive into that a bit later during the accreditation part. And here I like to include 6 essential elements for successful towards LGBTQI plus tourism development, but you can, it's not necessarily only for tourism development. So having an engaged and visible local community is important. Establishing clear values, a vision, and a plan. Building collaborative local, regional, and broader partnerships. For example, if there's a local hotel that collaborates with the Pride Festival during a time and offers like specific ratings or specific rates for clients traveling to the region for Pride, this is a great partnership that can enhance business for the hotel and promote it also to the wider audience as a queer inclusive space. Providing a dedicated investment and support, perhaps for local like communities, offering unique products and experiences. You can do queer inclusive rafting. You can do queer inclusive travel tours. Let's explore queer film festivals or queer walking tours and look into the historical sites and what else is there that showcases the queer culture of a specific region, and also implementing inclusive marketing strategies and promotional activities. So inviting again, like the queer social media influencer that specifically works with other queer clients might be helpful to enhance business beyond the month of Pride. And these are all essential like elements for successful towards LGBTQI plus tourism development, but I believe you can also incorporate that to something that is like beyond just tourism. And this will be another section and that will dive a bit deeper into the activities, so products and experiences that can be developed. As I said, we have 2S LGBTQ plus festivals and events, and under that we have pride festivals, ski and snowboard events, culinary and film festivals. For example, working specifically with queer business owners who own their own restaurant. How can we support them better, and how can we enhance their business, and how can we showcase that people can come to the province and eat at this specific restaurant, to just support them. That's what we at the CGLCC do, to create an even playing field so all of the members of the 2S LGBTQI plus community can be represented at the table. So we also have other 2S LGBTQI plus focused experiences, again with local and authentic storytellers, 2S LGBTQI plus group tours, as I mentioned before, walking tours, cycling, boat and wine tours. Then then we have other outdoor adventures and activities. I recently traveled to St. John's in Newfoundland, and I was working, or I met someone who was working at a fishing business. And when I think about fishing and fishing tours, I oftentimes am alert and I'm like, will this be something for me? Will I be safe when I go there, or will I experience any type of discrimination, like harmful language or things like that? Simply because it's not necessarily always advertised as like a queer inclusive like sport or an activity, but it can be because it's a wonderful sport that people can access. And how can mm, I, as a owner of a boat that offers like fishing tours, how can I dip into that, and how can I make my business more receptive to the queer client, and how can I create something targeted for them? Then we have mainstream festivals, events, or experiences that incorporate and offer towards LGBTQI plus targeted programming. And all of these are like examples of what can be developed to be more welcoming. Then into our other part, we have the Rainbow Registered accreditation. So in order to be more receptive to the queer client and the customer, the Rainbow Registered accreditation can serve as a certification to highlight the efforts that you've been working on. If you are a small business and you have attended the local Pride Festival, you typically donate to your local queer organizations, you give them in-kind support, you offer your space, or you do all of these things, the Rainbow Registered accreditation can be there to highlight these efforts and give you like the stamp of approval that you can use to say, I am a Rainbow Registered business and I am receptive to the queer client or the queer employee or queer personnel, because I went through each of these steps of the accreditation. So how was everything founded? The Rainbow Registered accreditation was developed, as I mentioned earlier, through a partnership between the CGLCC and Tourism HR Canada. In June of this year, we celebrated our 3-year anniversary. And it was a big deal for us because a lot of the businesses that joined us at the beginning were now reaching their like renewal stage, or were there to get reaccredited. And it's a wonderful time for us to learn more about these businesses and get more insight into how much did they benefit from the accreditation, or what did they gain from it. And we have heard a lot of wonderful things about people that are specifically looking to these businesses to do their business with. The mark is like a recognition in identifying 2SLGBTQI plus friendly entities. It highlights your progressive policies and inclusive cultures. And the certification is only awarded to a business if you meet required standards. And if we ask ourselves, what are these required standards? What is being looked into? We have 4 pillars. And we have at number 1, we have policies and practices. For policies and practices, we are looking for 3 evidence pieces, something tangible that showcases that you have either an employee handbook that states that you don't discriminate based on gender or sexual orientation, or certain procedures that state how you deal with the queer community or towards LGBTQI plus folks, personnel, etc. Then it can include other policies and practices, how you deal with a transitioning employee. Are there any policies in place that say this is what we do? Maybe there is also another written document that states how you engage with the community beyond Pride, and if that's like within your mission, and if that's something you do. Pillar number 2 is training. I 100% understand that working in the queer sector and working in the queer nonprofit sector helps us be privileged and know a lot about the acronym and the community. If the employer, and if you as an employer know that your team needs certain training, it's always great to provide that. And that's what we are looking for in the accreditation. Whether it's like a pamphlet that's being given out before every employee starts their employment that states, these are the clients that we work with, this is what our mission is, this is what we stand for as a business. That's considered as training, that's considered as education that you provide for your employees. And that can be submitted as an evidence piece. But perhaps you also had a budget specifically aligned to attend a webinar from your local queer organization that offers certain things about how to deal with a queer client. How can I address when I have a trans customer? How can I work with them? What pronouns can I use? And all of these questions are legitimate if you don't work within the queer sector, but if training is provided, it's always great to learn more about it. Then we have culture of inclusion. Here's where we want to see how the internal work culture looks like. Are you perhaps encouraged to use your pronouns in your signature if it's necessary? Are there any like pride flags or anything in your physical space? Do you participate in like a queer trivia as a team? Have you attended a pride festival? Then we have commitment to inclusive leadership. And here is where we want to see you beyond like day-to-day operations. Do you particularly work with folks that you know that are also receptive to the queer clients and that are not necessarily homophobic or transphobic? Or do you donate to your local queer organizations? Did you work with the local queer organization and offered them in-kind support for your space? Did you create pins or something like that that shows us and shows the evaluator how committed you are to inclusive leadership? In total, for all of these pillars, we're looking for 12 evidence pieces in total, 3 for each pillar. So whether it is a screenshot of an activity or of a webinar that you attended, like the invitation link, whether it's a scan of the inclusive policies that you've worked on, maybe it's a screenshot of the your email signature that includes your pronouns, or maybe it's the queer trivia night that you attended as a team. Maybe it's something that showcases that you went to the Pride Festival and supported the local Pride organization in some way. All of that are all of these are considered evidence pieces and can be submitted to us and be evaluated by your assessor. The minimum requirement is just 3 evidence pieces in each category. Oftentimes people ask me, and because we work a lot with small businesses as well, we work with big corporations, but all of these businesses are valid and can be accredited. And I get asked, Merve, how can we have a gender neutral washroom? We don't have the funds to create something like that. We don't have the space and to do restructuring, etc. Chances are that you do already have a gender neutral washroom. And these are some like 2 photos that were submitted to me, submitted to us by businesses who are accredited, who have a gender neutral washroom. And this is how they can look like. Whether it's a single-use bathroom that is already there, whether it's a key that says family on it or WC, all of these can be considered gender-neutral washrooms. This is just one of the evidence pieces that you can provide. It's not necessary, but if you do have something like that, I will highly encourage you to provide something like that for your assessment. Then I mentioned like attending the Pride Festival. So what we have here was like an evidence piece submitted by a client who attended the local Pride Festival. And then also on the left side or on the right side, I don't know, you have someone that included their pronouns on their name tag. This was a local coffee shop. This was submitted as an evidence piece. And also what you can add are positive client or customer reviews or testimonials. So if you have like a Google page or something where you've collected those positive client reviews, please feel free to include them for your accreditation. This is what we're looking for. And this is completely valid and valid information just to see, okay, how do clients engage with you? Maybe it's a partner that you have worked with and you can ask them to provide like a client testimonial on how it was to work with you, and that's something you can provide for your assessment. I mentioned earlier like the training piece and something like that. These are 2 that I really love, like one on each side. So one is like explaining each letter of the acronym that is like being handed out or available to staff so they know what the acronym even stands for. Then there's also some things about gender fluid and what other trans inclusive terms that help folks understand what everything even stands for. On the other side, we have how to be a good ally to your queer peers, a lot of like important things and ways to engage with your queer employee or your queer client that you're working with. It's always fun to know, okay, this is how I could engage with them in a more meaningful and inclusive way. In terms of policies and some written documentation, I love to include the one in the middle. So it's like a declaration of commitment for 2SLGBTQI plus inclusion, signed by staff and also dated, that just shows, okay, how can I be more receptive and what do we do? And this is our policy that we can submit as an evidence piece. So why should you register and become Rainbow registered? We love to say that there is business growth included in that. Inclusive environments attract 2SLGBTQI plus people and the 2SLGBTQI plus community. If you are a business that is committed for 2SLGBTQI plus inclusion and diversity, you can be sure that clients will choose your business and know that I will feel welcome there when I go there. I know I recently traveled to a small town in Nova Scotia that I didn't even know beforehand was queer inclusive. But I went to that restaurant on that small coastal town and saw a gender neutral washroom in there. And it left such a positive experience for me, because knowing that the businesses are really doing their best to be inclusive for the community really warmed my heart and made me want to go there again. I left a positive client review. I wanted to encourage that business to show, wow, this is great. Like these businesses are really taking their time and doing a good job to be receptive and inclusive. Then also CGLCC benefits are included in there. So the Rainbow registered status unlocks additional CGLCC opportunities, access to our guides and access to our webinar Wednesdays, etc. And I can talk more about this in the next slide. But also workforce diversity. This is often overlooked, but access to qualified personnel, including to us LGBTQI plus individuals, is so important. Once you get that Rainbow registered mark, queer folks will know that this is a certified business that knows how to use the acronym properly, that knows how to deal with pronouns, and that is just simply a safe space to work at. And it will be more receptive to the queer employee, and they will know that they can come to your business and feel safe and apply there, and it will just open the pool a bit more and get you more qualified personnel. And how to apply, this part is subject to change because we're moving over to a new platform, which is not live yet, but by the time that this webinar will be available to you, you just know that for now you can go to Rainbow Registered, to the program page and on cglcc.ca and review the application guide. You will create a web account, pay the required fee, and submit the application form. The submit the application form is the part where things are changing. And then an assessor will contact you to schedule your assessment. We, or I, do not assess a business. I'm responsible for bringing folks in to the CGLCC, but because I have by then developed like a client-like relationship or client service relationship, we work with external evaluators and with external accreditors who have worked with over 450 businesses, from small size to big to large size businesses all over Canada, who will evaluate your business, who will hop on a call with you, who will go over all of the evidence pieces that you've submitted and just gather more information about you and your endeavors in terms of queer inclusion. Once you have been assessed, the assessor will create a business development report labeling each category and each evidence piece and grading it basically. And if you meet all the categories, all 4 categories, if you have met all the requirements, you are a Rainbow registered business, so you have been accredited. And once that is done, we will notify you again and let you know of the positive news. And those who meet the standards are accredited will receive a Rainbow registered welcome kit containing marketing materials. So you will receive like marketing materials that you can display on your website, just like the logo that we have right here. You will get like decals that you can put in your business and on the front page. And I mentioned the detailed assessment report as well. So whether you meet or not meet or partially meet the requirements, you will have the business development report. So you know what you need to maybe work on and what you can improve perhaps. You will have the affiliation with the Rainbow registered mark. You have access to all of our resources, and you will be included on our Rainbow registered consumer facing website. This is how it looks like. And as you can see, we have some stronger provinces. I had the privilege of flying and traveling to Yukon this year. I went to Whitehorse and we got our first hotel in Whitehorse accredited. And the idea was really to find a spot where queer people can travel to if they do visit Whitehorse. And it's now one of our accredited businesses, but really a big shout out to Ontario and our second largest accredited province, Nova Scotia, for being such champions for the queer community. It's really wonderful to see that it's there. But we also strongly believe that queer inclusion should not just be limited to these spaces and should be Canada-wide. If, one of our final slides, if you don't meet the standards initially, if you have only partially met all in the categories, you have 1 year to get reassessed. With the business development report that you will receive at the end of your accreditation, at the end of your assessment, you can see which parts you need to improve. Maybe there's another training that you need to attend to. Maybe there's another policy that you can work and implement, but you have an entire year that you can work on this and get reassessed. You can just let us know and say, hey, I'm now ready. I worked on this and I've used the business development report, and we will reassess you at no extra cost, and then you can get accredited, fully accredited. Finally, the CGLCC membership. Once you get accredited, you will receive discounts on CGLCC events, training, and webinars. We have a bunch of webinars. We have a gala coming up. We have networking events, regional networking events. We have our monthly What's the Buzz sessions, which are really tailored for Rainbow registered businesses, just to keep learning. We have a lot of subjects on intersectional identities and how we can work with them a bit better, how we can serve that community better, because the queer client can have so many ways of presenting. Then you will also be listed in our national directory, in English and in French directories. And this is all what's within the Rainbow Registered accreditation. I would like to thank you. My name is again Merve Tosun. I'm the Business Development Coordinator National, and you can reach me at merve.tosun@cglcc.ca. And with this, I will be closing the presentation, and I would like to thank you for your attention and for your time.
Thank you so much, Mary, for such a phenomenal session, so informative, and we'll surely be spreading the word on this wonderful initiative. So thank you so much.
Thank you so much.